All right, everybody. We've been waiting for this one. We are super excited. We are geeked. The long anticipated opportunity to finally sit down, chop it up on the line. We got Richie Reseda in the building.
Hey.
Yeah. Bounce and break your back. Bounce and break your back. Bounce and break your back. You bounce so hard you break your back, girl.
Yeah.
I think that's a first.
That's the first bounce and break your back?
We've never.
I think I'm going to go more juke leaning from here on out.
I think so.
It is appropriate because this is a celebratory time.
This is the time for the percolator.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
right now.
If there ever was one.
If there ever was one.
This is what the world's been missing.
So, Richie, as you can see, we're excited to have you, and we like to start all of our conversations with a two-part question that's become, in many ways, a tradition for us here. And this question is centered around time. So, in this time, and define that however you will, whether that's this day, this hour, this season, this lifetime, in this time, how is the world treating you, and how are you treating the world? Richie Reseda.
I'm going to just answer it the way it comes from me.
Yep.
Yeah.
For the past 14 billion years, which is going to be the time frame that I'm going to speak.
I love it. I love it.
The earth has been great to us. Before we were humans, the earth has been great to living things. I am doing my best to reciprocate that. Yeah, I'm doing my best to treat the earth the way that it treats me, and to treat other people the way that the earth treats me, and to be in reciprocal relationship the way that the natural world around us does it just so naturally without a second thought.
I love that. It's like the way that ferns are treated is how I'm trying to treat the people
Right.
around me.
The way ferns treat each other, like
Yeah.
the fern as what we see as one organism, but is actually billions of plant cells in relationship with each other to create a fern so that they could then interact with the forest, and then the forest interacts with the world.
Yeah.
Like the way that they're getting down, that's how I seek to get down.
Wow. As we're about to cook. We're so ready for this. As fellow fans of a Zoom Out, we've probably asked that question
You took it to the
500
next level.
to 700 times, maybe 1,000 times if we added workshops and shit. And no one has gone to the 14 billion level time scale. I'm impressed.
That's a Zoom Out.
I'm warmed up. I'm ready to go.
We talking epochs.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, big epochs.
Epochs at a time.
So not to zoom us too far back in, but we're so grateful to be talking to you in a particular season of this epoch. This brand new project is about to be like visible and audible to people all over this fern-laden planet. Just day to day on an emotional level right now, what does it feel like to have Songs from the Hole like about to emerge into the world?
Songs from the Hole, the amazing music film that I've been blessed to be a producer on, and one of the music producers on, has actually been a 10-year project for me. I came into working on Songs from the Hole while I was in prison with JJ88, the artist at the center of the project, starting in 2015 is when I met him, and he told me his story, and he showed me his art, and he spit some shit, I spit some shit. I used to rap at that time. Yeah, I mean, it's in my soul. It's in my soul forever. For sure. Yeah, and I mean, as a producer, I rap enough to help songwrite with the artists I work with, but it's not something that I do super publicly anymore. Word. But yeah, I met him. We were in this incredible position where we were able to produce and record the original version of the Songs from the Hole EP, which is out now, streaming everywhere now. We did that original recording in prison. And actually the version that is now on streamers features those same vocals. We didn't re-record the songs. So those are all vocals that were recorded in prison. We didn't have permission to do it. We broke the rules, and we were willing to risk our freedom for what was important to us. And now that it's out where people can see it, it's taking me a minute to realize that is real, because I literally made this in secret at risk of my freedom.
You're bringing me back.
So, yeah.
So, that's so beautiful. I want to start. We are big proponents of gas here in these AirGo shows.
Not as like a fuel, as emotional
as
experience.
a currency.
I know, it's like it can mean
ecologically.
so many things. I didn't think that you meant like gasoline,
Like,
but I was like, did you mean weed?
Yeah.
Like, I know
fracking boys in the morning over here. No.
No fracking. I am a fan of weed. That's not what I'm referring to.
About.
And like, y'all really call it that out there too. Like, that's very
we do.
Chicago,
big,
like
big gas, big gas.
Yeah.
And like, if you got a fart where you are, don't hold it. I'm not a fan, I would say, but if you're listening to this right now, please release.
It's a type of freedom.
But
if you're by yourself, be
be considerate. But I want to say, and like, it's going to be hard for me to find the superlatives, but we were fortunate to be in LA when there was a friends and family screening a little bit over a year and a half ago. And, you know, it kind of just like we were there showing our movement film thing and like just trying to connect. And you get invitations to things. It's like, oh, this is an event to go to. This is a way to network. It was a way to, you know, touch base with you. It was a way to, you know, be present in the space. And I was not aware that I was about to experience, if not one of the most significant, impactful pieces of artifacts, period. Not just of movement media, but I think of human storytelling that I've ever experienced.
Wow.
What happened physically, what happened to me on a human level, what happened to me as someone in movement, and what happened to me as a cultural practitioner, artist, and media maker. All three of those experiences kind of swirling at once. Nothing I can think of can compare to being as effective, as evocative, as intimate, and as pronounced, right? Like, it's very clear the perspective of the world, the perspective of Black community, the perspective of incarceration that y'all offer. So before we get into breaking down what it is, I just want you to know that it is truly one of the most marvelous and significant pieces of art I've ever experienced in my life.
Wow. That's love, bro. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we don't just say that to all the guests. It's real. And so in that, you know, the film as a piece holds so much of what Damon shared. And then there was this extra level of having this remarkable, unique opportunity to watch it in that room with like really the people at the heart of this project. And I was so moved by the intimacy of that screening room, of the film, of the way that you and your collaborators related to each other. And then as, you know, we continue to learn more about your work and be reminded of things we crossed paths with in the past, like that actually became not a surprise because you have this remarkable ability to build intimacy. And so I'm wondering for you, how do you define that word? And what do you think is the power of it?
Well, thank you both for saying that so much. That really was a special room. It was the first time that anybody had seen it outside of our core collaborators. And my mom was there. I mean, everybody, all of our extras in the film who play incarcerated people are actually our formerly incarcerated friends. So we're in the room with all these dudes we were in prison with who heard this music while we were making it in prison. And this is their first time seeing it like on a big screen like that. So that was just really a really special screening, and I'm glad y'all got to come through. For me, intimacy is the moments or parts of you that you share that ain't for everybody. They're not needed for the level of like baseline closeness that like integrity with everyday people requires. There's another level of closeness. I like to measure my life in like circles. Like my very, very, very closest circle is myself and like all the beings within me. And then I would expand it to me, and which is actually is crazy to expand it really big, but me and then like quote unquote God, like the everything that is natural, the consciousness of the entire natural existence. And then beyond that, it's like my closest friends and family, and then not as close and da-da-da-da-da. So it's like the closer you get into those circles, the more intimate something is. It's just those moments that ain't for everybody, but they are needed.
And, you know, part of the dialectic for us as abolitionists is that what we see or witness is like this space that disconnects you from relationship and from the type of intimacy that humans need to like move with that integrity that you're naming. You have, well, everyone doesn't access, but we hear many stories of like having to recreate and reform that intimacy in that chosen family with folks that you're sharing this condition of confinement with. And so I want to talk.
Hold on. I'm sorry. What does dialectic mean? I thought I might figure it out.
Oh, yeah. It's time.
You walked into it.
So, you know, it comes from like some old like Greek philosophy shit, and then Hegel like really remixed it, or like, you know, who people credit like to the modern day. But for us, and, you know, really like this is my core. I come to it through Jimmy and Grace Lee Boggs, who are based out of Detroit. And so in their text, Revolution, Evolution in the 20th Century, their chapter 6 is called Dialectics of Revolution. And basically what they are saying is that all change and transformation happens through the interaction and reconciliation of contradictory truths. So it's not one versus the other. It's not one or the other. It's A plus B equals C squared, right? And so in this context, the way I was using it, of like the dialectic being the contradictory truth of prisons and incarceration are designed to basically destroy intimacy and succeed in that often. But also at the same time, those conditions are responded to with people who then choose or take the agency to create and form these new types of intimacy that are vital to survival, that then sometimes extend beyond those walls. And like when people come back home, then, you know, create these new types of kinship. So I was using the notion of dialectic of both of these relationships. The intimacy is true through incarceration, and like you are an example of like holding that, reconciling that. And like, it's not to say that, oh, prison is a great place for intimacy. It's absolutely not.
Sure.
But through that contradiction, there's like new possibility that you are an example of creating.
Yeah, I don't know if I would consider it new. I think humans need connection to survive.
Right.
And if you're in a prison, that doesn't change, so you create it, or you don't, and there's consequences for both choices, you know. But I know that connection is what got me through prison. Connection is what helped me survive.
And there's also like a fugitivity to the intimacy, but then also to the creation, right? Like, I feel like y'all must have said it at the time, but just hearing it again, this idea of recording the vocals when you were not allowed to. And that's some more gas I just want to offer of, you know, often you hear about like, oh, we're going to have a multi-form, multidisciplinary experimental film. And it's like, oh, that's good in concept. Like, you have some songs, you have some documentary, you have some reenacted scenes, and usually one part doesn't hold up. And there's an I don't even like this word, but it's coming to me. There's an excellence to the documentary of it,
quality,
to the reenactment and the like, not fictionalizing, but the reenactment part. And then it is in many ways a musical as well. And so often for me, maybe I'm not cultured enough, but like that part often falls flat. One, just like it feels inorganic, or two, the music just doesn't move me, and it's like being presented as it should. But throughout both 88's vocal and writing and your production were so evocative and so effective and so appropriate throughout that they, you know, all of the components of the film feed into each other really perfectly and seamlessly. But going back to this notion of fugitivity, you know, y'all record these vocals that are in many ways contraband. You then come home. The choice or the wrestling of how much do we want this to be the fugitive creation versus like, oh, now we have more access to different resources, maybe we can get a slightly less fuzzy vocal. Like, talk to me about that tension of preserving the fugitivity versus moving through when you have more access.
Well, shout out first and foremost to Contessa Gales, the director of the film, who is the reason why it flows as well as it does, looks as good as it does. I mean, we also had an incredible cinematographer in Michelle Kwong. But the Contessa really took the initial idea, which was, let's make a visual album with documentary in between the music videos, and made it a film, gave it a structure and a story, and made it a film. Also got a shout out Dylan Wiggins and Twin Towers, who are the other producers on this version of the music that you all hear in the film,
mm-hmm.
because they are incredible producers, and all the musicians that we worked with from all over the country. We did it with live musicians, and it, you know, live music just hits different. I gotta say that because what everybody's experiencing is far beyond anything that I could have produced on my own, sonically, let alone visually. So, and then of course, ADA is an incredible singer and rapper, which is not, I don't know a lot of people who can do both really well. Like in the game, ever. Like usually somebody's really good at one and can kind of do the other, and it's entertaining enough. But 88's really good at both. When I came home and started working on producing the film full time, I wasn't even a year out yet. And Contessa wanted to leave the songs exactly as they were because of the grittiness to it, of the fact that we made them in prison. I wanted to reproduce them for every reason that you're talking about, Damon, because I was like, bro, we have access now.
Yeah.
Right.
Ultimately, they remained in their original form until we got back the first cut of the film, and it was clear to me that the visuals were of such high quality that the music was just not, it wasn't matching the moment. And I don't want to make something that only hits if you know the story behind it. And it's actually really common, I think, when people do like social justice-y head-ass things, it's like they rely on the social justice of it to make the quality of the art good, and that's playing backwards for me. For me, I'd rather make something where the quality of the art contributes to the movement as opposed to a lackluster product that relies on the movement to move.
You just like moonwalked into the conversation that Damon and I have the most off mic of maybe any conversation.
Really?
We don't want to say it in front of people, you know, it's like there's a responsibility, like a respect for anybody doing anything. Sure. And like there's not enough liberatory or justice facing work. So you don't want to shit. And it's just not the ethic, right? Like we not double XL, we not trying to give one mics, we not trying to shit on people. But in my spirit, in my bones, hearing revolution to the evolution and the abolition of the system of the victim of the... Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah.
We got to leave Black Fist emoji aesthetics in 2020. They peaked in 2020. In 1968, we needed them. By 2020, that was their last kind of hurrah of like how far they could get us. And now we actually need an aesthetic that is for everybody, that you don't have to feel like I'm a social justice head ass to be down with living in integrity with other humans.
Yeah. Let's talk about this aesthetic position that you just described, because I think it's like not just about what looks good. I do agree it's like pivotally important in a world where people are engaging with ideas in much shorter amounts of time, and so much of the decisions they're making about what to engage with have to do with the form, because they're being bombarded with different material all the time. And so I'm wondering for you, like, how did that understanding take shape of like, this has to really be quality? Were there missteps? Were there things you made that now you cringe at? Like, I think that's part of creative process, but can you talk me through your understanding of the role of that aesthetic?
To me, this has always been my goal since I was young. I started producing music and I got politicized and became a community organizer in the same year when I was 14 years old. But I was producing music first. And the people who I made music for didn't change just because I became politicized. I was making music with my homies who are in the streets. That's who was, I was getting paid in weed to make beats and record niggas in LA. That is
giving some gas.
That's where I come from musically. So once I got politicized,
was you just high as hell, or were you like reselling it?
No, I was high as hell. I was so young.
Because after a while, there's only so many Trey 5s you could get, you know?
No. I was also selling weed at this time. I started selling weed before I started like producing and recording people. But man, I would be high as fuck. I just remember there's no high like when you're like 12, 13, 14 years old. And it's like,
Kids don't listen to it now, but for those of us remember.
It's not a good, I do not encourage children to smoke weed.
Kids, listen to this when you're 30 so you can reminisce about how you feel right now.
That's exactly. Yes. I look at kids now and I'm like, I cannot believe I was that young doing this. Like, I started selling weed when I was 13. Like, I can't imagine a 13-year-old selling weed right now. Like, you are such a child.
You haven't hit your growth spurt. Like,
and we just dress different. Like, I had a bigger T-shirt. Like, y'all's clothes fit so you look even younger. You know, I was 13 back when, like, my shirts were bigger when I was 13 than they are now at 33. That's so funny. But it was just always important to me to make good shit. Period. Then when I started getting into community work, it's like I saw there was a divide. It just didn't hit with my homies who are on street shit. It just did. The way the conversations flowed, the language, the aesthetic, it just did not hit. And that gap has been what I've been trying to fill since I was 14 years old. Mm-hmm. That gap is what Question Culture, our worker-owned production and management company, comes from. That gap is what informed what I wanted to bring to this film, which I had a lot of conversations with Contessa of, like, this can't feel like an incarceration documentary, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. It can't be like black screen, white writing with statistics. Like, it has to feel like something dope on its own that the homies would watch, that YNs would watch on the strength of what it is. And then hopefully it's something that supports us all in living in more integrity. Mm.
Yeah. And I think sometimes there's like this conception that divide you're talking about is about the like subject matter or the content or the ideas. And I don't think that's it. I think it really is in the world of aesthetics.
That is a racist, classist assumption. Right. That you want freedom for people in the hood more than they want it for themselves. That's crazy. Not you, Daniel. I just mean like the proverbial you. that idea that like, oh, you can't, like, that old poem by Gil Scott-Heron, "Niggas are scared of revolution." Mm-hmm. It's like, obviously no diss to the legend Gil Scott-Heron, but I'm saying, like, people have taken that and kind of, it's like a way to prop themselves up. And it's actually the ones who are the most afraid of revolution are, the big nonprofits and academia and all the ones that are actually locked in with the colonial state as it exists, as we can now see in Columbia and Harvard and everything else. That's why every time it cracks off, the hood is like, bet, I've been waiting for this. I'm going to throw a rock. I'm going to throw a brick. I didn't need much. We know it's
time to go.
If everybody's like, just let me know when it's time to go. Until then, I'm going to be at my little 9 to 5, or I'm going to be doing what I'm doing. But like, people who are living the shit know it the most. Is you have to do the work of talking to them as creators and cultural workers and organizers,
So you've named now, like, and we're gonna get back to the story of Songs from the Whole, but this is really like the overlap and intersection that started this project or our work, is how our work kind of emerged out of the overlap of the artistic movement in Chicago. Folks like No Name and Saba and Pivot Gang and Nick Jenkins and Jamila Woods and Raven Lene and on and on. The like youth open mic scene that existed was also in connection to the co-emergence of like the Movement for Black Lives ecosystem here in Chicago. So at the same people at the open mic and mixtape release are showing up to the teach-ins and the rallies and the protests. And then what we started was wanting to document that co-emergence. And so this is really speaking to us because, like, these are some of the greatest artists in the world and some of the most important work in the world. And we saw them in communication with each other, but just arts and social justice so often is in that void or in that gap. And so you've been more than documenting that gap. You've been like experimenting to get data of like how to actually address that problem. And I think a lot of people yearn to make doper shit is basically what I'm asking you. So like, It feels like a ridiculous question, but like with that recognition from such a young age and now living it out, what have you learned about, I guess, best practices or things to avoid to not get into that like aesthetically bland, tasteless version of really important ideas?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, thank you also for teaching me. I didn't know that those two kind of movements came up together, the movement for Black Lives, and then also all the amazing artists who you just mentioned. I didn't know that those were like shared spaces. It makes me think of my boy Rich Wallace from
Absolutely.
Rich,
that's the homie.
Rich was like he was like one of the first
the
big
homie.
Like they played Lala, and it was like, oh, you could be here and do that and be also thinking about these things and talk like that's the first Chicago artist I ever interviewed was his crew. Yes. So shout out to Rich.
You're right on point. Yeah, we've had Rich on a bunch of times. That's the man.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and it's like, man, I want to spend more time in Chicago because I know I'm in degree of relationship or community with a lot of the people who you're mentioning. Obviously, Vic is the homie. He's he hosted our Q&A for our Netflix release for Songs from the Hole. We had a podcast together. Just so much love to Chicago, and I'm always learning more and more and more. Also, house music is from Chicago. Learn that. Learn that from Move Your Body. Right. Like
it's been time for the percolator.
Exactly. That's when you're like, now it's officially time for percolator. It hit different in Chicago. But I have learned so much, y'all. I'm telling you, because I was raised in the movement to an extent, like from 14. I've taken on a lot of aesthetics, a lot of way of talking, a lot of way of being. I've been off the porch since I was 12. I've been hanging out. I started gangbanging when I was 16. Like, actually got put on. Got incarcerated when I was 17. Again, I was 18. Again, I was 19. Didn't get out when I was damn near 27. So I grew up in the streets and I grew up in the movement. And probably one of the gifts I've been given is as a translator and a bridge between those worlds. But those worlds really are the same world when the aesthetics make sense, when you can do it aesthetically. And I'm around other artists who care about that. So what's been helpful to me is shout out to my manager and co-CEO Rahel Asfa, because she comes from music straight up. We grew up together in movement shit. Then she went and managed. She was on Snoop's management team for like 10 years. And while I was in prison, then I got out. We started working together at Question Culture. And she's always the one, like, when I do a flyer, she's like, it's giving nonprofit. Do it again. I'll do a shirt design. She's like, it's giving nonprofit. Do it again. Like, we have a phrase, tacky and desperate. Because I remember one time I was like, should we do an email list at the album release? Like, you walk in and sign in and put your email. She said, it's giving tacky and desperate. And now we talk about that all the time. Like, so I appreciate, and it's hard, like for the songs from the whole merch, I had to redesign maybe 18 times. Like I was in tears. How many times? Truly, it was so much work, but it had to hit like hip hop merch. It couldn't hit like, a campaign protest shirt, no shade. Right. A campaign shirt. So, and a big part of what we do at QC too is we do a lot of merch for the movement and help them create merch that actually culturally resonates. There's a lot of organizations that we do their merch. So it's a big, I appreciate the question because it's a big part of what I do. It's how, I guess, trying to answer your question is like, it has to be, the inspiration has to come more from a feeling than a thought. And it has to be more about what we already know and what unites us, as opposed to you thinking you're going to teach somebody something. And I hope that makes sense.
Yep. What we know and what we feel could get us there more than what we. And I like that because I don't know if that was with intention, but like in Deconstructed, like you just made a distinction between knowing and thinking. You said it's not a thought, but it is what we know. And I think that's a powerful truth to live in.
It's a deeper knowing. It's a deeper knowing. I just think that I stopped fighting for justice 3 years ago and started healing towards integrity, which changes everything.
Okay.
Let's go to that point.
Go. Let's rock.
What was that that fulcrum point? That Volta.
The plants are already doing it. I'm about to sound fucking woo-woo as hell. The plants are already doing it. Like, our bodies are already doing it. Every living and natural thing is getting its needs met in a way that also gets the greater system around its needs met. Like, the plant cells get their needs met in a way that serves the plant serves the forest serves the ecosystem serves the earth, right? Like, all natural things are already doing that. Human beings, we're so smart, we can choose to step out of it. We can choose to become cancer cells and only try to grow ourselves at the expense of all the natural things around us. So even the idea of justice is like, you have to beat somebody, you have to win. And so even that, you're still playing the same domination game. You just think you're doing it for the right reason, which is what everybody thinks they're doing when they're dominating someone else. But healing towards integrity is like, I gotta put the parts of myself together that hurt so that I can be whole, and then do it with my community, and then the larger community, and then the earth and all natural things. And it's a completely different proposition. So when I'm living that way, it's like my goals started changing. My goals became like to never argue with somebody again. Like it became, and that changes the way now that it changes the way that the art is going to hit, because I'm not making statement pieces anymore. Like that say, fuck the police. Like there's no, all you can do is agree or disagree with that. As opposed to, I did this one shirt, instead of putting fuck the police on it, I put 200,000 years of human history without cops. And had the homie Jesse Milo, who got life and is in San Quentin right now, do an illustration of different indigenous peoples doing different indigenous practices. And then under the image, it just says, how do we live? How do we communicate? How do we hold each other accountable? How do we do business? How do we, like, now it's not an argument anymore. I'm not trying to beat you. I'm not trying to teach you. It's like, we are in a conversation. How do we exist without policing? It's been happening for 200,000 years. It happens in moments all the time. It's happening in this moment right now. We're not policing each other. We're respecting each other, right? So, and with Songs from the Hole, it's the same thing. There's not a single statistic. There's not a single, like, somebody being like, fuck the system, burn it down. It's just, you get to see a moment. And I won't give away the film for people who haven't seen it, but
I'm trying so hard. I'm trying so hard not to spoil.
You just get to see a moment of somebody healing towards integrity in real time.
You put this on a 3-year time frame of this shift. Is there something significant that happened in these 3 years?
As much or as little as you want to share.
I mean, literally, I've been looking for this answer for a long time. I've been looking, and when I was in prison, I read the Bible, I read the Torah, I read the Quran, I read Kabbalah. I was trying to find it, like, but about 3 years ago, 88 came home from prison. We do this music camp at Question Culture every once in a while called Pajami Jam, where we get a house somewhere and everybody is in their pajamas and we make music. You know, it's 88's idea. And we did the first Pajami Jam. We were in the forest in Big Bear, California. And I was on shrooms for like 3 weeks, just chilling with the trees.
I thought you were going to say 3 hours.
That'll do it.
You was real there. You went to a different
place. I was on shrooms for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, you'll come back with a new manifesto.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at the trees and I'm looking at how the forest, I'm really looking at how it's all functioning and how it's been functioning for millions and billions of years. And I'm like, oh, we're not trying to do nothing new. That's why justice feels so colonial to me. How are we going to make up a new concept? We're just trying to get back in line with what the natural world been doing.
Yeah, and I love this language of like integrity at the center of it, because I think it's a kind of a misunderstood word. It gets kind of framed as this like being super stringent with your values or something to that effect. But really, like, if we're going to word nerd it out, it's like integrated, meaning like connected and whole. Like, it's like the parts of me are in relation to each other, and I'm not like broken into pieces in different directions in the same way. And so,
and not just the parts of me, it's a deeper integrity that's also like, I'm integrated with my community and I'm integrated with all natural things. It's a spiritual belief that if you are here and I am here, there must be a way forward that honors all of our needs. Nobody has to win. No one has to lose.
That's, I think, like, very true and very brave way to move through the world. And so I'm wondering, I'm wondering about that challenge, and I want to start by going back. You know, you're talking about in your timeline, stepping into movement work, also then stepping into the streets, and like in that being within a couple years. I think I'm wondering, like, what were the early challenges of trying to integrate those parts into one human? Like, how did you hold those two parts of you?
I just lived in deep disintegrity, honestly. I was like, truly. I had a different name. The homies call me one thing. My movement friends call me another thing. My family call me another thing. I was almost like a different. Yeah. And coming to prison, it's like I kind of had to become one person because I couldn't take the mask on and off. That's why, like, you know, niggas who gangbang, I'm like, okay, you hard, but if you gangbang in jail or prison, that's for real because you can't go home.
That's what it's for. That's really what.
Yeah, like there is no like, okay, I went out and I did some hard shit today, and now I'm gonna go home and be like, okay, smoke some blunts and I
watch
feel
a
like
movie.
Safe. No, it's like it never turns off at 2 a.m, 3 a.m. for years and years and years. That is your only mode. And yeah, it was in those conditions that I was just like, bro, I need to choose the version of myself that is most true to be all the time. Because I remember when I got 10 years, I was like, the most devastating thing was the idea of keeping the mask on for 10 years straight. And eventually I was like, nah, I'm gonna take this mask off. And I just started being like, yo, I'm gonna be my true self and center my loved ones and my goals. And I'm still in great relationship with a lot of my homies. Some of them I'm not, based on that decision. But yeah, that's the thing about choosing integrity is like you have to come up against what's true. It's like I be wanting to not tell the whole truth sometimes so bad because then I can like keep two realities that actually can't coexist. But it's like the whole truth forces you. There's going to be real responses to the truth and you got to deal with it.
Yeah.
And your truth really does shine through. And I have another question that I really want to get to, but I want to respond to what you just said of like, you're holding these multiple identities and then like transforming towards becoming your whole self. And you have continued relationship with homies, you know, you continue relationship with folks that are not fragmented in that way. They are just in the streets or are just experiencing the experience of being locked up. And, you know, I'm curious how you observed people moving towards integrity with you without having that like bifurcated reality, without having that movement basis at home or in their internal life, like you being part of the conduit for folks seeing themselves in a different way.
I think that,
or I'll speak personally, right? Like when,
okay, cool.
You know, I wouldn't call the niggas I came up with street niggas, but niggas in the hood, right? And like when I come around, it's like, oh, Damon's on that type of like we're gonna be aware of how we talk, or you know, oh, you know, Damon's more mature now, and like I hear what their meaning is like, oh, just in our presence, they're wrestling with things that they take for granted on a day-to-day basis, or they're seeing, you know, we used to say the same things and now I move or function in the world differently. And like, I can observe people being resistant, stagnant, kind of creating that distance. And in some like small glimpses, you know, openings for transformation. And so I'm curious how, from your view, have you seen that transformation be possible for people who have relationship to you?
I do my best to be a version of myself that allows people to be a truer version of themselves, even if it requires discomfort to get there. Like if we're doing that together and they get to choose it, I'm down with that. I don't want to like force that upon somebody who's not ready or doesn't want that. It won't work anyway. It creates a non-productive conflict. That's where it just becomes like boundaries, and it's just like, cool, we don't gotta hang out, you know. But yeah, I try. Like I grew up, you know, young, coming into the movement young. I got to do all the corny shit, the corny movement shit when I was little. So like the policing people's language and the like, I'm too good for this, I'm too good for that, I don't eat like that, I'm this, I'm that. Like I got to do all that when I was like 14, 15, 16 years old. I hope I don't come off like that now.
What was the context where that was happening? Like when you say stepping into movement, what was your movement home at that time?
It was the Bus Riders Union and the Community Rights Campaign at the Labor Community Strategy Center. So I had, my mentors are named Patrice Cullors and Mark Anthony Johnson, and they graduated from the same high school as me, and then came back as they worked in the school psychologist's office, but they were organizing. They were basically doing organizing work as like youth diversion. So I was failing all my classes. I was selling weed. I was, in that kind of they put me in all the classes with all the kids who had fails. And they would come in, and I remember the first day they came in, we think they're going to give us a corny lecture about like go to school, go to college. Mark Anthony wrote mass incarceration on the board and said, who knows that you have a higher chance of going to prison than going to college? And that rang really true for me, because by the time I met him when I was 14, I had already been arrested 3 times, I think. So I just listened. And that was, and our 2 campaigns were, one, to stop them from raising the bus fares, which was something that directly affected me as somebody who took the bus everywhere I went. And 2 were to get the cops off the school, which is something that also impacted me as somebody who had been arrested by the Los Angeles School Police Department 3 times by the time I was 14. So I was, fighting for myself. I wasn't, I always say there's a big difference between people who do this shit to be a good person and people who do this shit to get free for themselves. Like, I didn't come in like, how do I be a good person or a good quote unquote ally to kids who take the bus or kids who get arrested on Los Angeles City schools. No, I was that. I didn't want to be arrested for being late to school. I didn't want to have to pay more of the $7.50 I made at my job, or the $5 I would make off of each fucking dime bag that I sold. Actually, I think I was making 5 off a dub. I didn't want to have to pay that to get on the bus, So that's how I was introduced into movement work. And here I was coming from a community full of kids who were all like that, but didn't necessarily vibe with it the same way in terms of like being around it and stuff. But I looked up to movement Headass people. It just rang true for me. Like, my favorite artist was Kanye, and that was like that. I'm talking George Bush doesn't care about black people. Kanye, not slavery was a choice. Panthers, Kanye. Ronald Reagan. Yeah, exactly. That album, Late Registration, was my favorite album. And I was really into movement artists like Nina Simone and Gil Scott-Heron, and like these were the people who I looked up to. At 14, but I also looked up to
people who were just... wear the Talib Kweli hat? Did you have that?
Nah, I didn't have that. Okay. I was never like West Coast for that, Hotep vibe. Yeah, it wasn't that. I didn't wear the little army hat. I still dressed like, I wore big pro clubs and baggy pants and chucks,
Right. West Coast.
Right. But yeah, so both of those things were always true for me. So, and honestly, even for Patrice is like that. Me and Patrice's like life story almost mirrors each other exactly. Like, she's originally from the east side of the valley, which is the hooder side of the valley, then moved to Canoga Park, which is like the most hood of the west side of the valley. I did the same exact thing. Originally from the east side, then moved to Canoga Park. All her uncles and brothers and them are from the same hood that I'm from. Like, we went to the same prisons. Like, when she would come visit me in prison, they would recognize her from when she would come see her dad and her uncle. And so Patrice was always like that too. Patrice was like a hood nigga who organized. So I felt at home. I felt at home in her presence and with her as a mentor. And also she's an artist, and that's something that influenced me. And, and she introduced the film the night that you guys came to see it.
Yeah, so shout out to Patrice and Mark for that relationship or that mentorship or that opening.
Oh my goodness.
Because
Patrice and Mark Anthony are everything to me.
Yeah. Oh, wait, like the somatics practitioner, Mark Anthony?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah. That's real good people. Connected with him through the Chicago Torture Justice Center. I think we published that. Yeah. Okay, word. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. So I want to also affirm or bring into the conversation another one of like the most significant movement media pieces I've seen, which is Feminists on Cell Block Y. And I think it was 2019, maybe 2018.
2018.
That's probably when it came out. I think the next summer I was helping facilitate through a feminist collective movement organization, Assata's Daughters, here in Chicago. And they had a cohort of young boys and men, or young men and boys. And we did a session based off off.
That does make more sense.
Yeah. We did a session based off feminists on
yeah. That would be really
on feminists on Cell Block Y, and I was like, at some point I'm gonna meet this brother, and like I have a curiosity that feels inappropriate.
You gotta wait.
I saw.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, and you just answered it because I being Daniel, I asked him like, how do I shift this to be more appropriate? But I want to be transparent of like what struck me so that we can like kind of untangle it together. It was so poignant and so like, oh, I am seeing the thing that I am trying to push of like, one, how do we have an anti-patriarchal stance at large, but particularly as men, not realizing it's not just for the benefit of others. It is also to save ourselves. Like this is literally killing us. This is destroying our ability to relate to each other and ourselves. It's disintegrity at the highest form. Mm-hmm. And I saw how you were facilitating in that space, and it was so movement informed. The language, the frameworks, and I was struck by it because it's like I've done programs in prison, or I've done programs with folks coming home, and usually what the story is like once they get inside, they find a circle, or there's one little fugitive type program that gets in, and they learn the language, and they come home, and there feels like a disconnect between like, you know, I have real experience, and y'all talk like this and movement, and like there's like some mixing that has to take place. And I was curious, like, wow, you already have this grounding. And I was very curious of like how that came. And so to hear this organizing history, like at what point after seeing mass incarceration on the board and then it becoming your experience and being incarcerated, did you say, oh, I am equipped to bring another type of leadership here because I recognize like, oh, I, even as someone who believes to be an abolitionist, was challenged by someone entering into carceral space already having that grounding?
Well, I became an abolitionist while I was in jail already.
Right.
I didn't like enter the prison as an abolitionist. Right. I didn't really understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember feeling like, I mean, I did rob the stores. I mean, what are you gonna do? Especially when you're like in the where I was at in LA County Jail, which is like super violent.
Yeah.
Super, super, super violent. Most violent place I ever have been, let alone lived for a year of my life. And I was in East Max, which in my dorm at that time, everybody in East Max was like 30 and under fighting life. Mm-hmm. So it was just incredibly violent place, and the cops were super violent.
Yeah, that's a terrible combination of like still physically young, but basically the threat or the reality of like the rest of your life is taken away. So I have all of my strength, but in a way I can look at this of I have nothing to live for.
Yeah. So it was just within that context, you know, I was just in this violent ass place, and I'm thinking like, something about it still felt off that we were all locked up there. I was like, there's something still wrong here. Like, as violent as this place is, this can't be what is needed for quote unquote safety. And how come some people's safety requires the lack of safety for others? Because I damn sure ain't safe. My prayer for a long time, from when I lived in the streets to I got out of prison, was just to live through the day. And yeah, to anybody who's never had to like pray, like, can I just make it through today? Can I not experience any extreme violence today? It's just a different reality for those of us who've had to live that way, and for the people who still have to live that way. But because that was my experience, I was coming to understand abolition from a place of safety, again, not from a place of like intellectualism or some shit that you learn in college where it's like, I have to figure this out to be smart. It's like, I have to figure this out to survive, and so that the people I love can survive. So by the time I'm at Soledad, I mean, my friends, my movement community, my feminist community, who are women, and largely women, and like genderqueer people, and the way that they were holding me accountable throughout all the street shit, the jail shit, was not like, follow the law, young man. It's like, we all know the law is bullshit. They were holding me accountable in a feminist way, holding me to my own integrity. We didn't have that language super clean. Bell Hooks talks about it in A Will to Change. I didn't fully understand it yet. But when I got to jail, I wanted to feel the freedom that I did when I would go to feminist men's groups with Mark Anthony. So those are the books that I asked for people to send me. So I reread A Will to Change. I reread We Real Cool. I reread All About Love, and then started reading other Black feminist literature. And then eventually, just by means of like having to live in integrity, or I would just feel weird, I would try to live like that, and which required me also to have conversations with other men in prison, you know. And then eventually, like, the need for success stories. So eventually I started LA County Jail, then high security prison, then medium security prison, after I'm in prison for like 2-3 years. When I get to the medium security, now they have like programs and circles. So my homie Lulu invites me to go to the program. I go to this program, and it's these 2 Black women leading the program. And I'm like, I ain't even interacted with no women outside of the women in my family in years at this point. So I'm like, and they Black? I'm like, cool.
What's up?
What they got to say? And, you know, no shade, but they were like, this is what y'all need to do to be real men. You need to be providers. You need to be protectors. You need to get real jobs. And I was like, oh, this ain't it. This ain't it. This is how I was raised, like this already. Everybody in prison doesn't necessarily have that experience. I was raised with both my parents. My dad is super Christian, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, no tattoos, Republican Christian man. And I saw the ways that too is based in domination and does not allow us to be whole. So I'm like, nah, this ain't it. So I asked them, can I do a workshop on this book, We Real Cool, by Bell Hooks? And they were like, sure. The program was really ran by incarcerated people. Those 2 staff were guests that day. And when I come to do the workshop, they really played me to the left. Like, they wasn't really trying to hear what I was trying to say. They literally laughed me out the room. I was also 21 years old. And a lot of the dudes who ran the program had been in prison longer than I had been alive. So I literally got laughed out the room. But I told my homie Charles, bro, we got to start our own program. Like, nobody is talking about this, and this is the thing. I promise you, this is the thing. And Charles was super Christian too. So he was like, so it required organizing on behalf of Charles. Then we got the homie Hugo. Hugo was the key to the Mexicans. Hugo was going to be the dude to get all the Mexican dudes and Chicano dudes on the yard to come. Hugo, we got to get Hugo. Like, Hugo, do you fuck with this? Are we on the same page? Boom, we got Hugo. And it's like we started building out from there and building just it wasn't about teaching. People often call that work. Like, Richie was teaching feminism in prison. I was trying to be whole, and I needed other people to do that. And those are the people who I was around. You know, were other men like me who had similar upbringing. So that was the conversations we had. But ultimately, it was about holding ourselves and each other accountable to our community and our goals. So that's how that came about.
Yeah. And it had, you know, as a like piece then in the rest of the world, had this impact, at least, you know, on a personal level we're talking about, of like being a grounded and beautiful tool in trying to build more space for that type of work to happen. Something that we've been talking a lot about is like, in that moment, feeling more and more people, more and more men around us asking those questions, right? And it felt like, okay, maybe
this is ascendant.
If not like, oh, things have changed, something is happening. And as we know,
something else has happened.
Some other things have happened too. And like backlash, or as Miriam Kaba calls it, frontlash, like that's a thing. And so it's not surprising. But I'm just wondering, like, from a media maker standpoint, how do you make sense of the like explosion of the opposition,
of anti-feminism,
right? And not just like run-of-the-mill patriarchy, but like, I'm gonna make a profession and a living and a lifetime worth of media out of being in opposition to that.
We have now a term, manosphere, and like
that didn't exist then.
And I feel discouraged of like, oh, in the 12 to 15 years I've been wrestling with this ideas, I saw them ascend, and now it feels like more people have the vocabulary, but more people are weaponized on the anti-feminist side. And so, I'm curious for you who's facilitated, like, how are you holding it?
Just feeling what you said. Yo, I'm encouraged by the manosphere. I find it extremely encouraging because that shows niggas will go for literally anything.
Yeah, that's opportunity by lowering the bar.
Anything that affirms a human being, that you like matter and you have a place and that you are a part of will work.
I am fresh. I am fit.
So I'm not, it takes, maybe because I've had some practice, but it takes 5 seconds when I be talking to my youngs that be on the manosphere shit. Yeah. It takes 5 seconds to like divert that, because ultimately they're just
one of those diversions.
Bro, okay, so boom. I've been dating this lovely, wonderful person named Sabrina for like on and off last 5 years, but
shout out Sabrina.
The last 2 years. Shout out to Sabrina. So I was with Sabrina and her nephew. His name is Noah. Shout out to Noah. Love Noah. Noah has a very young spirit. He's a beautiful young man. And Noah hit me up randomly out the blue. He's young, you know. He's in his 20s. He's trying to make sense of the world. He's from Broward County, Florida. Kodak and them is from. And Noah's like, bro, I got to get out of here. I think I'm going to join the military. And he'll hit me up talking about, should I be in this branch of the military? Should I be in this branch of the military? Well, this branch gets to use these type of guns. You know, the Marines get to use this, da-da-da-da, right? All the shit. And clearly be listening to the podcast and all the manosphere shit. I said, Noah, do you want to kill people for a living? And he said, I never thought about it like that.
Not so bad, but yeah. There's so much the messaging in the middle. Yeah.
He wants to be a good person.
Yeah.
He wants to like, I'm like, Noah, who I know you to be, bro, you don't want to just kill people because the government of the United States told you that those are the right people to kill. Like, you're going to entrust your decision-making power in the government of the United States? Like, that's, and he was just like, nah, that sounds crazy. So I'm like, okay, I got a movie for you. Let's go to the movie. So me, Sabrina, and Noah went to see No Other Land. And I just wanted Noah to see the powerlessness of the Israeli occupational forces and how they are truly just following orders from people who have no care for them and no care for anyone. For by the position that they're in, they have had to remove care from a practice of theirs, and they use these young people to like brainwash them and trick them into hurting other people, thinking that that's what they need to do to be safe. And I just felt like it was important for Noah to see that. And you know what? When we went to leave the theater, it was some Muslim girls crying in the theater behind us, and we walked out, and Noah said, damn, you think I should have asked those girls for their number? And that's the, like, bruh, and you know what? It's like, I just want to, I had to put that part in there. So it's like, it's not like this magic pill, you know what I'm saying? But then we got to have a conversation about like, why did you want to ask them for their Noah, for their number, bro? Like, why did you want to ask them for their number? What do you think they were going through? What do you think they were feeling? What were you feeling? Like, how would you feel if you were seeing your people being killed in that way? He's Jamaican. How would you feel if you seen Jamaican people getting done like that? You know? Right. So anyway, like, those ways of having the conversation, you're gonna get there because people are people at the end of the day. Everybody wants to be human. We saw the same thing in prison. So we didn't lead with the $20 words, patriarchy, feminism, da, 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 da. We didn't call it come to feminism program at 3:00. Nobody would have came. Yeah. We asked who here was told that they had to fight and have money and have sex with a bunch of women in order to be a real man. Everybody raises their hand. Who here actually lived that way? Everybody raises their hand. And who here has hurt somebody or themselves trying to live that way? Everybody raises their hand. It's just the truth. Yeah. It is just, the truth is on our side. So the manosphere people, they're tapping into that need to feel connected and to like understand your place in the world. And they have a bunch of cultural cachet to pull from because they have, 500 society. Years of
the backing of empire. Yeah,
exactly. They have all that to pull from, so that people, it looks like you eating, it looks like you doing your shit because you're making points, but we have 14 billion years of interconnected natural reality to pull from.
You brought it back. You killing this shit. So if I'm to kind of loop, if I'm correct, is that how you either met or got closer to 88? Was in those circles or in that program?
So of course, but when I meet 88, the program was already going. I met a dude named Chris Johnson. Chris transferred to the prison. And when the new dudes used to come into the prison, I was part of like the committee that would make these pitches to come to the program. So I would pitch my
orientation
program.
Day.
Yeah, on orientation, I would go to orientation and I would pitch to come to that program. And Chris was like fascinated by the pitch because the way I did it is I said, imagine you're in a bank. Like, what does it smell like in a bank? Do you remember how a bank smells? I'm talking to a bunch of people who've been in prison for 15 years. You remember how it smelled? You have a check in your hand for $1 million. You're about to go cash it. How do you feel? You make eye contact with the teller and how do you feel as you slide that under the thing? I'm like, I got these. And I was like, now what is in between that reality and where you are right now? Let's talk about that at 3:00. That is how I would frame it.
That's a good sell. That's a hell of a pitch. Yeah, that'll.
You might have been setting them off a little bit, like
yeah, kind of,
like in an intentional way, but you like got them somewhere else, thinking about money, thinking about success as like a hook.
Yeah, it leans on capitalism, but what ultimately I wanted to get them, what $1 million ultimately represents to those people in that room is finally being safe, and having your needs met and not have to worry after God knows probably their whole lives of having to fight to have their needs met. Yeah. So the question that I really was asking is like, what do you need to do to live in a way to get your needs met? And then we're going to have a conversation about integrity and the way that patriarchy gets in the way of that. But Chris came up and he was like, yo, this is dope. I'm coming. And he told 88, him and 88 were cellies at the prior prison he was just at. He told 88, transfer to this prison and meet this dude named Richie. So
wow. So he transferred to come to your program. Wow.
In part. So that's and then our homie Talib connected us on some art shit, and and I immediately invited 88 and his celly Manny to come to the program and see what's good, and they became facilitators, and Contessa came and directed the Feminists on Cell Block Y and met me and 88 in that context, and then we asked her if she would direct the film, and here we are.
Jumping forward 10 billion light years to the present. So as we wrap, I just am so excited for people to get to experience this film. And I'm wondering for you, like not to be prescriptive of what you want audiences to experience, but like what part of the feeling of your experience in making the film do you want to make sure like lands for people? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I hope people see this film and know that this film is about them. That people in prison are no better than you. They're no worse than you. We all have the capacity to make choices where we're the cancer cells trying to get our needs met at the expenses of everybody else. And we have the power to make choices where we get our needs met in alignment with everybody else. And I don't come to this film because you feel bad for me or you feel bad for 88 or you feel bad for people in prison. Like, please save me your fucking sympathy. Like people in prison, people in genocided zones, people unhoused living on the streets, people in domestically abusive relationships who wake up every day and choose to thrive anyway and choose to heal anyway. We should be learning from them. And this film is an opportunity to do that.
That's the truth right there. I've rarely shown this much discipline ever in my life. I've been wanting to. There's so much about the story and like the turns and the rivets and like the gut punches and the like otherworldly connections and like, oh, that couldn't be true, but obviously it is true aspects to it that like I want to tell people so they go watch it, but y'all just have to take our word for it that like it is a way to understand the human condition, the importance of love and family, a level of resilience that many of us are never prompted or invited to have to reach in the first place, to the point of like the people who still choose to thrive. And so, yeah, that really resonates of, in addition to it being something that is like spiritually edifying and something that can reconnect us with the world, it also is just a good story. And like in the same way I talked about the music, like the music could stand on its own as music, like the story is one of interest, one of significance that like I just want everyone to engage and encounter and like digest and revisit. So I'm glad it's going to be somewhere where people can watch it at home as well.
Yeah. How
Thank you.
How can folks find the film and then find you and your work in the ways that you want to be found?
The film is on Netflix. The EP that accompanies the film is streaming everywhere. Songs from the whole EP. The deluxe version you can buy on Even, or you can buy the vinyl at questionculture.shop. I encourage people to do that because we are independent artists trying to make it from the mud. Mm-hmm. I mean, I ain't hard to find. Google my name and you know what I'm saying?
Lowercase.
You know, I'm out of pocket because I do have one more question. It's actually a Daniel question. Okay. But it's to this point of like, you know, this piece is about to come to the world and there is a potential that it could platform you in 88 in a different way. And so we kind of were talking about this around aesthetic earlier, but there's like a fine line in this world of like influencer, clout, public persona that often is like inconsistent with the values of how we want people to show up in movement,
of being integrated spaces, in the way you're talking about.
And so you seem to have a real poise and navigate that well, right? Like, you know, you are visible in certain ways. And like this can prompt you to another level of visibility. Just like, how do you hold that in relationship to the other values and integrities that have been such an important part of this conversation?
A simple last minute question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant to ask
this. This could have been the whole
I meant to ask this like 18 minutes ago, but we got to talk about some shit. But I wanted, talk about the clout.
It's a science. It's actually, it has to do with how you build the organization itself. Like, it has to do with the accountability systems within the organization. I have an accountability pod. There's 5 dudes on a group chat that I have a conversation with every month at least, and one-offs before I make any professional decisions, relationship decisions. There are people who hold me accountable. If anybody were to see me and be like, Richie doesn't appear to be living in integrity with the community or the natural world, please say something to me. And if I don't seem to hear you, say something to my pod. They're also not hard to find. Actually, one of my pod members from Chicago, his name is Phil Agnew.
Yeah.
So, and within Question Culture, not only do we have pods, but we also have accountability systems within the organization itself that work similarly. I don't make top-down decisions. Every decision we make in consensus as a policy. That's Mando. So the actual formation of our lives is set up in a way that supports integrity. And also, just like with the art, just like with the film, everything that I do is supposed to be in service of, the intention is that everything I do is in service of the culture and integrity, not the other way around. Mm-hmm. So I'm always like, even on questions like this, like, oh, you have this, potential podcast, like this potential radio show. Is it best for me to do it? Should it just be 88 and Contessa? What's best for the film? What's best for the culture? Who can, where is the culture in this moment? We got this manosphere shit going on. We got ice going on. We got fire. Like, who's the best voice to speak to this? Like, we're always like, what is in the best service of the culture? Not just how do I get as famous as possible or whatever. Like, I have actually sacrificed a lot of, quote unquote, sacrificed. There were opportunities that came to me, but they weren't truly opportunities for the culture. Right. So I say, no, it's not what I'm looking to do or who I'm looking to be. And people want me to meet a model. People have asked me to be an actor. It's like, I'm not here just to be famous for the sake of being famous. Mm-hmm. I'm any social capital that I build is in service of global integrity and a culture of integrity. And I ask the people around me to hold me to that.
Beautiful. All right, one last. No, I'm kidding. Thank you so much, one, for pouring so much into this beautiful art that you make, and for taking the time to like learn with us and wrestle with us. Yeah, so excited for people to see this film. We'll of course link to it in the notes and everything. But yeah, just a spirit of like deep admiration and appreciation for the things you've made and the ways you're moving through the world. It's rare that we like cross paths with people who are asking a lot of the same questions that we are internally, and so it's a joy to learn together.
Yeah,
same.
You know, just to add, like, I know it is not true. I know it's not true, but often as a black man, a cishet black man trying to adhere and uphold these principles, it can feel really isolating and alienating. And so being able to observe you, being able to witness you, being able to also now be in conversation with you, like does something for my equilibrium, you know, does something like for my balance. And so I'm very grateful and appreciative for the work that you're doing, the example that you offer, and particularly that divide between our community at large and like our movement space. That's something that like has been a big wrestling and big struggle for me. And like, yeah, the path that you are clearing on holding space or facing that contradiction is really inspiring for me. So thank you so much for all that you do, for who you are. And yeah, we gonna stay locked in.
Likewise, bro. Truly. I don't say that lightly. Like, when I hear people asking similar questions, moving through similar things, I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
The culture is integrating. Yeah. We're more integrated than we were yesterday.
It's great. It's wild because it's like, it's so simple and it's so right. It's like, it's not hard and it's so much better. So yeah. Let's be better people, y'all.
A good call to action, I feel like. All right. We'll be back on the line, reshaping culture for the more liberatory and creative.
Much love to the people.
Peace.
Peace.